the Penguin Modern series. So Penguin has a bunch of different series, the Penguin Modern Classics and the Penguin Classics and whatever. This is the Penguin Modern series. It is a series of teeny little books. We're talking about just little bitty paperback books of about 50 pages or so. Very small in dimensions as well. And but what's interesting is that they've picked a bunch of different writers from the last 100 years or so, and they're not publishing, well, obviously they're not publishing, long works, but they're getting little pieces from all these famous writers from mostly Europe and the United States, but also from Japan, Nigeria, and some other places. So they made 50 of these little books. They sell for like £2 a pop, or even I think some of them, I thought some of them were £1. Looks like £2 each. In Britain and here in Australia, they're I think £2.50 Australian, which is actually a good deal because that's given the exchange rate. Anyway, you can get the whole set in one sort of, they're I think calling a limited edition set of all 50. Now I've got 3 of them out. Somehow they fit in there. You just have to squeeze them in there. And they're numbered. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 50. So that when you take one out, you can remember where it went when you put it back in. But let's have a look at some of these writers. So some of them are fiction. So they would be, well, I just had one out, Stanislaw Lem, a Polish writer. So this, they're titling it the 3 Electro Nights, but really that's just one of the 3 short stories in here. So I think it's like 10 pages or something, and then there'll be a few more, or there are 2 others that are probably a little bit longer because it's about 50 pages in all. So that's this one, that's fiction. But then another one I happened to pull out was Audre Lorde. I don't know how to pronounce her first name. But these are essays. Now, one of the essays was "The Master's Tool will never dismantle the Master's house," but there are others in there too. So, poetry is not a luxury. Uses of the erotic and uses of anger. Okay. So, that is a nonfiction. It was an essay, but it was actually I think it was at least this one here, which is the only one I've read so far, was submitted to a. It was submitted to like a symposium or something like that, given as papers. That's what I should have said, given as papers to a conference. And then so for instance, look, there's MLK, Letter from Birmingham. There's another one I've read is the Notes on Nationalism. So this is George Orwell. There are actually 3 essays in here. I've read Notes on Nationalism, and then there's one on anti-Semitism in Britain. And the 3rd one's about sport. I haven't read that one yet. Anyway, so these authors are well known around the world. So you take like a Nabokov, and I don't know what Lance is, okay? So I know Pale Fire, and I know Lolita, but I don't know what Lance is. I don't even know if that's an essay or a bit of a short story. Well, maybe we can find out. 3 dazzling stories, okay? So these aren't the stories that you will know, that maybe you'll know these writers by, but you can just get a taste of their writing, and that's what I'm so excited about it. I haven't gotten into it very deeply. I've read a little bit of the Warhol one. So the Primo Levy is actually, this one is poetry. So he's a poet, and he's also written a memoir, a very famous memoir, If This Is a Man. And in here we have some of his poetry, including the poem If This Is a Man, which gave the name to his very famous memoir of the Holocaust. So anyways, these writers here, you can have a look. And the writing that's in here might not be their most famous, but it's just a little taste. An essay, a short story, a bit of criticism, poetry, something like that from all these people. Of course, some of them, they worked in short stories. Shirley Jackson worked in short stories. It's not strange to see her here. But Steinbeck, well, yeah, I guess he's written short stories too. So Kafka, you know, from short stories. Okay. Anyway, it's very, very cool. When you get in a set, you pay a lot less than when you buy them one at a time, but maybe you wouldn't be interested in all of them. I don't know that I'm interested in every single one, but I kind of want to even get my teeth into the ones that I'm not interested in, because just to try it, and maybe I'll learn something that I didn't know before. We've got, actually, you know what? We should go get his book. It's I've got a folio society of his most famous work, and we'll probably do a video on that. In any case, here we have the Penguin Modern set, well, by Penguin.